In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a chat room inside of your Unity project using KeyAuth. This is a paid feature, so you will need to purchase the seller subscription, which is $19.99 a year, in order for this to work. All the links that you need will be down in the description. So let's just get right into it. This is overall how I will be making the chat room to look. Obviously, you can change it and make it look however you want. All the messages will be displayed here. The message that you want to send will be here. If you want to mute a user, you can do so by typing their username and then pressing mute. And then you can also clear all the messages from here, as well as the server, if you wanted to. So it's a pretty simple setup. All that I have is obviously an exit button. The title label is not important. It's actually for something else. So the message box is a input field. So if you just right click, come down to UI, and it's just this send message button. So the button to send the message. This is also an input field to gather all the messages. The mute user box, also an input field, a button, and then another button. So if you head down in the description, if you will see a github.com link, you just want to head over to there and then open up the KeyAuth Unity example and open up scripts. And inside of scripts, you can just go ahead and download this. Func.cs. I highly recommend, if you have no idea what this is, you go watch my previous videos on how to set up the login and register system. It's really easy. So jumping into this, you will see some new things were added, the header chat room features and everything that we need. So back in the Unity project, inside of scripts, if you just go ahead and open up the function class, I already have mine open. Right underneath the header user information, we're just going to basically just copy and paste it, and I'll just break down everything for you while we go. So we're going to copy these lines from time to gather messages all the way down to chat channel. So copy those and then put it in here. So this is basically the time that we're going to use to get all the messages. I'm doing it this way, but you can also use a I enumerator if you like to. Just make sure that the rest of the setup is basically close to how I have it. So I had the test box, the chat message to send, user to mute. You have a private bool called get messages, which is equal to false. We will be changing this to true once the user logs in. And then the private string chat channel is equal to testing. In order to get this name, if you head over to the KeyAuth website, come over to chats, and if you click on create channel, you can just put your channel name in here, how long you want it to be for users to cool down after every message, and then just multiply it by this section. So if you put 1 here, then 1 second, or like 1 minute. And then once you click on add, the name will pop up right here. Obviously for testing purposes, and by default it is called testing. So just go ahead and put that name in there. Okay, so now that you have that, I'm going to go back into the code. We're going to come down to line 109, and we're just going to copy this private void late update all the way to 115. And you can go ahead and paste this anywhere. I'm just going to put it underneath the await function. And this is basically saying if get messages equals true, then we're going to get all the messages. So back into the code. On here on the login type, you see 128 you're just going to just copy this, and we're just going to put this underneath the login type. Now, if you're using the license type only, then obviously you can change that to like license type only. So just put it under here if you are doing that. But if not, then you can just use it for the login. Once you have that, you can go back into the code and copy this line right here, 176 to 183. And we're just going to paste this down at the bottom, right above this last bracket. And this is the send messages. So it's basically if KeyAuth app dot chat send, and it requires the string for the message and then string for the channel name. The message is coming from this input field that I have chat message to send, and then obviously the chat channel that I just showed you up top about the testing. And then here we're just doing the test box.text. Now in my case, the test box is the box where all the messages are going. So if you wanted to rename that, you could, but just for video purposes, I'm going to have it as that. So .text plus equals KeyAuth app.user underscore data username. So it's going to send the username of the user that sent the message. And then I have plus just a little space basically. You don't have to do this, if you wanted to do that, you could, or, however you want to do it. I'm gonna do it like that. And then plus the chat message to send. So this is the input field that you type. So if I wanted to send a message, I would put my message here, and then it would send here. So whatever is going in this box. And then I have plus and n, and this is basically just creating a new line so the messages aren't put together. Again, if you don't want this, you can just remove this, but I'm going to keep it. And then after I send my message, I want the chat box to equal null, just because I do not want to clear the messages all the time. So going back into the code, if we go ahead and copy this one right here, this is the retrieve messages. We'll just go ahead and we will paste this. So here we are telling the float that we had to start counting down, and if the float is equal to 0, then the test box, or the box that contains all the messages, will equal null. Then we have an if statement. If the string is empty or null, the chat channel, if it's empty or null, then we're going to get the chat messages from the chat channel. And then if the messages are null, or if they equal 0, basically no messages, then it's going to say no messages. Again, you can do whatever you want here. I just have a debug logging, no messages. However, if there are messages, then we're going to make a for each loop, and basically adding the text of the author, and then the message inside of the box that we get all the messages from. So it's basically going to loop for every single time a message gets sent. It's basically just going to keep sending it, and updating it. So when a new message does get sent, it gets updated properly. And then we're just going to set the time to get it back to 10. And then else we're going to just do no messages. And this is for if it's not null. Well, if it is not null. And then back into the code, we're just going to copy both of these, the clear all messages and the mute user in chat. And again, paste it right above the last bracket. Now this one is where we need our webhooks. So here you see clear all messages and then mute user in chat. If we head over to, I think it's actually right here. No. Head over to docs and go down to chat. underneath seller. We have these options right here, but for now, all we're going to do is clear the channel messages as well as mute the user. And then you could also unmute the user as well. So we'll actually throw that in there this video as well, just so you can see. So on your KeyAuth account, head over to webhooks, and you're basically just going to create a webhook. Head back over to the docs. We'll start with clear channel messages. Go ahead and right click, and we'll just copy this link address, go back, and we're just going to paste this in. And then we're going to delete everything up to seller key here. And then this is going to be authenticated, so make sure that is checked true. I'm going to add, and then for your seller, just come down underneath seller, click on settings, go ahead and copy this, and then go back into your webhooks, actions, edit, enter. Now I have two because I made a previous video, obviously. So if you don't have two of them, it's fine. You only really need one for this tutorial. So once that is created, just go ahead and copy this webhook ID, go back to your code, and then we're going to paste the webhook ID here. And then the clear is what we're doing, like clearing the messages. So and type equals clear channel, and name is equal to channel name here. So you can add the channel name, or if you wanted to continue to change the channel name by doing like a public string, then you can do it as that as well. But we're just going to just change it to whatever our name is, which is testing. And again, that's found right here. Right. So now that I have that, we're also going to do the mute user. So this is basically the same thing. You can actually just copy this ID and paste it here. And then and type equals mute user, and user equals the user to mute. So this is the text box that the username will go into that you want to mute. And then this is the time. It is in seconds. So I have it for 60 seconds. So that's how long the user will be muted for. And then the last thing we're going to do, we'll just create a public void, and we will do unmute user in chat. And then KeyAuth app.webhook, and then we'll just go ahead and paste that ID back in there, and then go back over to our docs and unmute. Just right click, copy link, and then I'm just going to comment it out real quick just so I can get it. And then all we need is right here, and type equals unmute, and user equals username here. We'll just copy that, paste that in there. Then we can remove this. And then remove where it says username, and then right after the last quote, just use space plus. And then this is obviously the user to mute text. So user to mute.text. Now if you wanted to do a different text box for it, you could, but it really doesn't matter. You can keep it in one, or you can just create another text box. So now that we have that, just make sure that you save it. Go back into your Unity project after it loads and saves properly. And then inside of the chat room section panel, come down to send message button, scroll down, and all we're going to do is basically just drag this function in, click on no function, and then send message. We do not have to do anything here. For the mute user box, we don't have to do anything either. For mute user button, let's go ahead and click that, function, no function, and then we're just going to find mute user in chat. then clear all. Just drag in the function, no function, and then find clear all messages. And then I also need to make one more button. Where is it? Clear all. I'm just gonna move this over. Leave it like that. Gonna do unmute user button. And then unmute user. That's fine. So click on the unmute user button, drag in func, and then no function, func, and then unmute user in chat. Pretty simple. So now if we go ahead and we run it, I need to create a different account real quick. So we'll just do test, register. Okay. Now if I log in, go here, and then type message here, hello there, and then just press send. Let me see what I'm missing in the chat room. Send message, send message. Oh, yes. That's what, on the objects, on the function, you have to actually assign everything. Totally forgot to do that. So the test box is the box that contains all the messages. So all messages box, the chat message to send. So it would be this one right here, the message box. So just go ahead and drag in the message box, and then the user to mute. Mute user box, just to make sure that's actually it. Yes. Okay. So now that you actually have everything assigned, go ahead and run it. Go ahead and log in. Hello there. Click on send. And it sends messages. This is saying message box TMP Pro input field. So obviously I signed something wrong. Test box. All messages. Chat message to send is the message box. And then the chat message to use. And then all the code. Seeing if I'm just forgetting anything. Okay, so it works when you log back out for some reason. Hello. Okay, for some reason it's being weird. So let me just build and run this. Save. Just going to create another one. Well, user register, and then user login. Go to our chat, and here's test. How are you? And okay, so there we go. It is working. I guess it just wasn't working in play mode, but as you see, once you build it, it will actually work. So hello, this is from the other user, and then this is from me, and then obviously if I go back into here and then press start again inside play mode, let's go ahead, test, and then here you go, how are you? And then even if I, just to show you that it actually works in real time and that you don't have to keep logging in, don't forget to sub, I'll send it, and then don't forget to sub. And now say I wanted to mute the user, I'll do user and then mute user. And so now I shouldn't be able to send anything if I type it in. Clicking on send, can't send anything. So that's pretty much it. And this does work. Say if you want to make sure that only an admin can mute users, then you can also code that as well. I will not be getting into that though because that's a different part and not really related to the KeyAuth setup. But I mean, it is pretty simple. All you would have to do is just create an if statement, just to check if your username matches what you have for the admin panel. But yeah, if you have any questions about this at all, if you're running into any issues, just comment down below and I'll try and get to you when I can. I will possibly be making the next video about the leaderboard system. So you can store your user data and do achievements, unlockables, and all of that. I'm not sure when I will be doing that video, but it will be coming soon. So yeah, as always, I hope you enjoy the video, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.